Hello 8th grade artists. So this video is just going to show you how to get started with the gridding portion of your candy enlargement. Remember, each of you will be given a printed copy and a digital copy of a small candy wrapper that already has a grid on it that is 5 squares across and 5 squares down. So the first thing that we need to do on our paper, which is 10 inches by 10 inches, is to recreate a 5 by 5 grid. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. So what we will be doing is creating a 2-inch grid. So the first thing we'll do is put a ruler down. Make sure that you do not line the edge of the ruler up with the paper, but you do line the 0 up on the edge. That is one of the biggest mistakes people make. So I'm going to zoom in here. Do not put your ruler like this so that the edge of the ruler is on the page. Instead, slide it until that first little hash mark, which is essentially the 0, is there. And then you will make a little hash mark at the 2 inches, the 4 inches, the 6, and the 8. So once you do that at the top of your page, you will simply slide your ruler down, line it up again so that it's on that 0. Eyeball the bottom edge. Use the edge of the paper to make sure that you're laying your ruler down nice and parallel. And then you'll make the same exact hash marks at the bottom. So the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 8. And then you can go ahead and connect those across. I'll make the screen just a little larger so you can see it. Make sure you are using those hash marks. So make sure that you can barely see them on the edge of your ruler. And then using your hand to hold the ruler down in the middle, press the pencil up against the edge of the ruler and draw that line. Do not hold the ruler up here or down here, because if you do, then your ruler is going to shift when you're making the line. What you want to do is hold that ruler smack in the middle and press down pretty firmly so that when you go against the ruler with the pencil, the ruler does not shift it off. And as usual, you do want to make these lines pretty light. I'm making mine just a little bit darker than what you would want to make them, simply so that you can see them on the video here. But you basically want to make sure that your grid lines are just barely perceptible. So you want them dark enough so that you can see them, but also light enough so that they erase completely. So once you get your 5 verticals, then what you can do is go ahead and start on your hash marks for your horizontal lines. Again, I'm going to put the 0 on the edge of the paper here, up in the very corner, and then I'm going to make a mark of the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 8. And then I'm going to move my ruler across to do the same thing on the far side. The 2, 4, 6, and 8. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to connect those across. Now, if it's easier for you to turn your page and connect them the other direction, that's absolutely fine. A lot of the things in this class are about figuring out the easiest way for you to do things. I do not want you to do things a certain way just because I do them that way. Art is a very personal thing, and what some people do really well and what comes easily for some people may not necessarily be the same as for somebody else. So I want you guys to be open to trying new things, but also to be willing to experiment and do things a little bit differently than I do if that works for you. So now I've got my paper, my 10-inch by 10-inch paper with a 5 by 5 grid on it. I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see. So the whole page now has a grid, which then is basically a scale version of the grid that is on your assigned candy wrapper. So then now what you'd be doing is looking at each square on your small version and then using the squares on the larger grid to literally enlarge what you see and just make a bigger scale version of the candy wrapper that you have been assigned. So if you look on Google Classrooms, I have an example of a bottle caps box, I guess, not really a wrapper, that I have done in the past, and there are pictures of the whole process of that. And I will be continuing this one along using the Warheads logo so that you guys can see how I take that from the assigned gridded image that each of you will receive onto the paper to make it larger, and then into the outlining, and then the erasing of all the pencil marks, and then finally the color. So I'll walk you through and talk you through each step of the process so that you know a little bit more of what is expected and how to go about doing what you're doing. The entire process will not be recorded, but enough of it to help you will be. I do not want to record all of it because then you will rely too much on that and will not learn as much for yourself.